Good work. Thanks everyone for being here. It's a beautiful evening. So proud of our graduates this evening. My name is Kim Langmaid and I'm the founder of Walking Mountain Science Center. And I started the graduate program about 16 years ago. But this is really the first graduation we've had, so it's a really, really important night. And this is only our second group to graduate from the University of Northern Colorado. So they've worked really, really hard over the past 26 months, and they've come a long way. This is, like I said, the first official graduation ceremony, and I just want to thank all of you for coming from as far as you have, wherever it is, to be here on this special occasion. I'm really just going to introduce David Sobel, our guest speaker. David Sobel is a well-renowned environmental educator, and he really inspired me back when I was getting my master's degree from Prescott College many years ago. I graduated in '97, but he's really known for thought leadership in place-based environmental education. And that really inspired our mission statement, our graduate program, our youth programs curriculum, and really helping the youth of this valley and others develop that sense of place so that they will become stewards and caretakers of the natural world wherever they are. David Sobel has written extensively on the topic of children and the value of place-based environmental education, also developmental psychology, biophilia, connecting kids to the natural world. And his work is known, I'd say, internationally. His numerous books offer parents and teachers insight into the value and appeal and techniques of outdoor experiences, promoting personal, physical, and social growth and environmental stewardship. I got the opportunity to know David when I was getting my own degree at Antioch, New England, in Keene, New Hampshire, where he's a professor there. And he was initially planning to join us, but due to COVID, he is going to be joining us remotely. We were excited and honored to have him here, but we have a video link. So it is with my great honor that I present David Sobel.
Good evening. Thanks to Jamie Squires for inviting me to speak with you this evening. I'm so disappointed not to be with you in person to honor the fine work you've done and the challenging work you have before you. And of course, I missed the opportunity to be in the Colorado landscape. So the most exhilarating moments in my life have been in diverse places around Colorado, searching for flowers in the alpine meadows on high peaks in Rocky Mountain National Park, plunging downwards on the great sand dunes near Crestone, or plunging downwards from Gate 7 into the powder-filled treed gully at Purgatory Mountain near Durango, or wandering canyons and archaeological ruins behind the Kelly Place near Cortez. And I had an exhilarating moment observing a brilliantly facilitated discussion about Animal Farm in a middle school classroom at the Denver Green School about a decade ago. The Black, Latino, White, Asian, and Muslim students were really grappling with the deeper meaning and personal relevance of this story because the teacher facilitation was both sensitive and spot on. For me, Colorado is a place of exhilaration, joy, and hopefulness. I also remember the time I walked into the Thorn Nature Experience in Boulder. And Oak Thorn, the 91-year-old founder, was holding a pair of lark buntings in his hands, vibrantly pulsating life in his hands. In the bird banding program, he gives children the opportunity to hold is hope, moments of joy, and a glint of possibility that there's light at the end of this tunnel we're in. That's your challenge. The glint in your eyes can spark the glint in their souls. You've got the depth of your experience, your fine training at Walking Mountain, and the wild western landscapes to help you meet this challenging task. So here you are, heading off to work in schools or teach online or who knows what. And one of the challenges you'll face is striking the balance when working with students between academic rigor and joy. I want to share some wisdom from Enos Mills, often considered the father of Rocky Mountain National Park, who wrote a wonderful essay about his work with children called Adventures of My Trail School. Essentially, the trail was the school, and he spent his days with children out roaming, exploring, explaining, and playing in the mountains. He describes the impact of his trail exploration, saying, "The children had been explorers in a wilderness, had camped by mighty rivers, had seen wild animals in strange nations. Their imaginations were on fire. This world had become an inexhaustible wonderland. They'd been to school, had studied, were eager to go on with this schooling, this developing." The crux lesson here is the necessity of making learning invigorating and exciting, and that students should be made happy, not deadened by their education. I saw this happen this spring with my wife's sixth graders at the end of their digital learning after 3 months. As their culminating task for the year, they were given a choice of about a dozen projects, one of which they had to choose and carry out at home or out in their backyards or out in the community. Some children created cooking videos. One ended with the student saying, "Words cannot describe how good this tastes," and he really meant it. Another student created an 18-hole rambly through woods and meadows miniature golf course, complete with all the trappings I have to find in the work you do. At Antioch, New England, one of our encouragements to graduate students is "The world needs you now." So let's files of each of you. So I'm going to draw from those to frame this picture of how you are needed. Leah, your bio talks about your commitment to awakening a sense of wonder in youth. This is exactly what I think Enos Mills was describing in his Children of My Trail School essay. Joy and wonder are the foundations upon which intrinsic motivation and the desire for questing for knowledge are based. John Burroughs framed it differently when he said, "Knowledge without love will not stick, but if love comes first, knowledge is sure to follow." In your teaching, make sure you aspire to love first. Ashley, your bio says you studied the effect of a gratitude practice in walking mountain programs. In all of the nature mentoring and wilderness awareness programs around the country, the sit spot is a core practice. Each child has a sit spot away from everyone else where they sit quietly and observe, be at one with nature. This is a form of practicing gratitude. Quiet sit spots and practicing gratitude are an integral part of these programs, even with kindergartners. Regardless of what grade level students you work with, even in public schools, encouraging quiet meditation or forest bathing can bring mindfulness into your classroom. Kate, your bio refers to your unrelenting persistence and unbound patience. Boy, are you all going to need a lot of persistence and patience. Persistence because at-home digital learning is going to last for a long time, and you need to persist through this phase so that you can get back to working with students face-to-face and in the outdoors. Persistence because when you start to advocate for taking students outside or solving a community problem, or partnering with the Forest Service, there will be other teachers and administrators and school board members who will tell you that won't work, or it's too expensive, or it's too risky, or you'll be compromising students, but with a smile. Nicholas, your bio talks about your commitment to communicating about natural and cultural resources. With the national parks and environmental legislation under assault nowadays, this is more important than ever. How do we get citizens to understand the value and importance of natural and cultural resources? It's important to keep in mind the relationship between a child's access to play in the natural world and the development of environmental values and behaviors as adults. In a landmark environment, informed citizen action, volunteerism, public support for pro-environmental policies, environmental career choices, recycling, and on and on. In other words, what she's saying here is, if we want adults who appreciate the value of natural and cultural resources and behave in environmentally responsible ways, we need to give children access to play and exploration in the natural. That backyard science, science that's relevant and visible, can actually engage students productively in thinking and acting scientifically. I pray that this is true, because look at where unscientific thinking has gotten us to in the pandemic. I'm reminded of the headlines in a British newspaper after George Bush was elected for the second time. The headlines read, "How could 58 million Americans be so stupid?" Now, as a counterpoint, let me acknowledge that George Bush is really looking quite smart and like a pretty desirable president these days. Nonetheless, I find myself, if the place-based science that you engage your students in can make them more respectful of the scientific endeavor, even if you can just affect 1 million or 2 students, then the United States will be a smarter and hopefully healthier place. Let me wrap this up with one example of how all these skills and values that you represent are getting woven together in one place. This example also addresses the racial and social inequities in American society highlighted in the last few months. In 2014, Thorn Nature Experience, a nature organization in Boulder, worked with 24 other environmental nonprofits to conduct a needs assessment in Boulder County schools. One of the findings was that the Latino community was being significantly less served than the white community. In response, Thorn, in collaboration with the city of Lafayette, just adjacent to Boulder, Boulder Valley School District, and more than a dozen nonprofits, initiated a groundbreaking program to address these environmental injustice issues. Nature Kids Lafayette is the program that emerged, and it is designed to connect Latino youth and their families to nature and the outdoors, from preschool to high school, backyard to backcountry, in family integrated environmental education, and through outdoor recreation programming. It's a big idea, and they've nearly raised $10 million with seed funding from Great Outdoors Colorado to make it all happen. It's the kind of whole system kick in the butt initiative that makes me hopeful. The solution is complex, multifaceted, and aspirational. First, they're going to change the infrastructure in the Latino community around one of the elementary schools so children can safely walk and bike to school, and they're going to completely naturalize the school grounds. Carlos Lerma, Lafayette resident and community programs manager, described some of the infrastructure changes that ensure that all Lafayette youth live within a safe 10-minute walk to nature. Carlos says, "We designed the Nature Kids program with the help of the community to take away any physical, cultural, and economic barriers that keep so many of the youth that live in my community from participating in traditional recreational experiences. Nature Kids plans to build 5 nature play areas, 6 gazebos, 4 pedestrian crossings, and over 2 miles of trails. The highlights of these capital projects are the $1 million nature play area and neighborhood connector trails at Alicia Sanchez International Elementary School. In addition, they're taking a cradle-to-grave, all-hands-on-deck approach towards providing outdoor programming, led as much as possible by Latino community members. There are 82 different programs: environmental education in elementary schools, after-school programs, newly designed middle and high school courses, field trips, summer camps, a youth advisory board, family camping weekends, job training initiatives, backpacking trips, wildlands restoration projects. Some of this is put on hold because of the pandemic, but it's a big aspiration. It's a mind-boggling array of opportunities offered by 27 collaborating organizations designed to deliver more than 500,000 hours of programming over 5 years. A few school examples, and these are the kind of things you'll be doing. Students at Angevine Middle School planted a pollinator garden at their school and advocated with the city of Lafayette for policies that are pollinator friendly. Students in a class at Centaurus High School learned about wildfire prevention and then participated in a fire mitigation project at Calwood Education Center, where Aidan once worked. This is an Edenic residential center in the Front Range Mountains above Boulder and Lafayette. The students thinned trees to create a defensible space in the forest, built slash piles, and stacked wood. The class teacher said it was hard work, but it felt good to help take care of that beautiful area that has become special to us. Latino youth are tromping in streams, teenagers are becoming mentors, and families are going on their first camping trips ever in state parks. This is the kind of whole system education initiative that you are primed to jump into. It'll take your gratitude, your sense of wonder, your persistence and patience, your communication skills, and your place-based education skills to initiate these kind of programs in the schools and communities you become committed to. I wish you well. May you walk a path with heart. Thanks.
A huge thank you to Professor Sobel for his insight, his advice, and his flexibility in making this happen via video. We are grateful to have had the opportunity to work with him. A few more thank yous are in order before I get started. Nobody graduates alone, and this group was supported by a great group of project advisors, so I want to thank Chris Cohen, who's taking the pictures in the back, Laura Carlson, and Dr. Kim Langmaid, all who served as project advisors. And also thank you to Dr. Jennifer Parrish, who is a professor at UNC who couldn't be here with us today. She was immensely helpful in helping the students see their projects through. I'd also like to thank Dr. David Slikheis, who is the Assistant Dean of Natural Resources, Assistant Dean of the College of Health and Natural Sciences at UNC, and he has been also immensely helpful in coordinating and making sure that everybody got all the credits they needed. So thank you to Dr. Slikheis. I'd also like to thank Craig Foley, who is the generous funder for our program here, the Foley Graduate Fellowship. He's been an immense supporter of our school and our program, and we are always appreciative. Thank you, Craig. I also want to thank some of the people who made this event possible, including Chris and Laura, who were great help and great support, and also our marketing department, Mackenzie Koffenberger and Paul Abling. Paul was amazing in helping us get the technical pieces all together and making it all work. And also thank you to High Five Media, Arjun, and JK, who were a great help and a great support. So thank you to everybody who made this happen. So as Kim mentioned, tonight is our first official graduation celebration, but I give a goodbye speech every year to the fellows. And when I sit down to write this, I always ask myself, after 2 years of listening to me teach classes, what more could they want to hear from me? But it was about 7 or 8 years ago when I started hearing my goodbye speech in rhyme and rhythm. And that was my first goodbye poem. And when I finished that poem, one of the new fellows came up to me and said, "I can't wait to hear our poem." And thus a tradition was born. And sometimes I fear that the words won't come, but I find that the unique perspectives and the energy of each group of students always speaks to me. And here's what this year's group said. So, graduating amid pandemonium. Pandemonium consumed the world, uncertainty reigned and chaos swirled. The virus started to accrue, the fight for right began anew. These challenges were more than slight, the world it seemed was in a plight. Teachers and bakers and chefs and their waiters all had to stay home or else they were traitors. But adversity shows us what's deep down inside, and this team of 5 rose, their strength magnified. They showed who they are, always state of the art, they just kept on teaching, teachers at heart. Doctors and nurses, they rose to the call, but teachers, they had complete overhaul. How do you teach when your students are far? Teaching online seems so bizarre. But lo and behold, creativity blossomed, online lessons that were actually awesome. The whole world tuned in, they all could relate to see Ashley and Aidan, Nicholas, Leah, and Kate, engaging with nature in all kinds of ways, from scatting to scenting or soaking up rays. But while the pandemic impacted this team, it won't mark their time, it won't be the theme, for their time as a fellow is filled with much more, meaningful moments you just can't ignore. Hiking and biking and birding and boating, and the kids they did teach, of course, are worth noting. So stick with me now as I tell you their tales of teaching the children o'er hill and down dale. Leah is lovely, just ask anyone, a woods dweller storyteller who plays in the sun. A rat to the core, rafting rivers galore. She's a biker, a hiker when she comes ashore. Add skiing and soaking, last-minute vacations, road trips and music, so many temptations. But once she committed, her paper submitted, a midnight trip to see Kesha omitted. Still, Leah is true. She powers on through, just not before coffee when all is askew. A teacher at heart with a love of her trade, her students go far, adventure displayed. Quick with her wit or a story to tell, where are her kids? They're out raising hell. But Leah is watching, they're not doing harm. Our earth is in trouble, they're just raising alarm. Leah's free spirit will carry her far, guided by light from her very own star. Leah, I wish you all the world has to give, beautiful sunsets and a long life to live. Aidan is agile, able, adept, an explorer extraordinaire, adventure unchecked. A birder, a runner, climber and mountaineer, kinetic, athletic, always in high gear. A leader, a reader with goals to attain, picture taker, trail breaker through all kinds of terrain. I notice, I wonder, using questions to guide his students to clues in the outside. Building equity respectfully amid the world in a rage, in all its complexity, rewriting this page. But amid all the chaos, the ranting and raving, Aidan keeps teaching the world is worth saving. His students hike far, learn much and do good, exploring the mountains, the pond, and the wood. A citizen scientist sharing his craft, reporting the data from students amassed. But it's time to move on, and I know Aidan will continue to achieve, always moving uphill. The mountains are calling, and Aidan must go, but I can't wait to hear about more of his show. Then there is Ashley. Where do I start? She's brave and she's bold and she has a huge heart. A juicer of veggies, did someone say cleanse? Healthy is happy through Ashley's lens. But beyond the cucumbers, sliced thin and neat, Ashley likes action, she's fast on her feet. She doesn't sit still unless it's too cold. This Florida girl needs layers threefold. But when she stopped shivering, her knee finished quivering, she found her own niche, her field days delivering. Teaching with love, kindness, compassion, and genuine promise for spurring action. So what does the future hold for this being? She's grateful her job won't include skiing. She'll be teaching her charges that life is not largest. Cheer can be found in the joy of the harvest. Ashley, I wish you great joy and adventure, the strength to stand up to those who would censor, your voice with its strength, conviction, devotion. Keep teaching and loving and make a commotion. Oh, Nicholas, sweet Nicholas, with a puppet voice that's quite ridiculous. High and squeaky and a little cheeky, how does he hit that unique key? A trekker, a tramper, a backcountry camper, over the hills and valleys he scampers, in search of the beauty, that sweet tranquil space, wildflowers and rocks with no human race. Nicholas is kind and quirky, very neat and sort of smirky, generous and down-to-earthy. But when the talk turns prehistoric, tales of life gone meteoric, Nicholas can get euphoric. His wanderlust just keeps going, a barista who keeps the coffee flowing. But through it all, one thing stands clear. Nicholas loves this great green sphere. And the youth who feel ignored, stuck in schools, being bored. So Nicholas, your charge is shored. Find connection in a world astray. Always laugh at Tina Fey, and may all that's good come your way. So have you met my friend Kate, with a heart of gold and talents innate? Wild Alaska was her home, where giant grizzlies often roam, but Colorado called to her, time to write your tome. But long before that work was done, though she missed that midnight sun, she set high goals, and one by one she ticked them off. Soul power champ, some writer's cramp, and woohoo queen is in the camp. She's a baker, a maker of cookies and more. She knows what she likes and what she stands for. Using her voice and her talents, but not for herself, Kate crafts and she sews for her friends and an elf. A scholar, a seeker of absolute truth, packaged precisely for today's youth, with the hope they'll wind up in their own voting booth. If you see Kate's group hiking by, aspen leaves above their eye, they've pledged their love and loyalty to aspen trees nearby. Kate's magic here is clear to see, but now that she's a new grantee, she should have her own marquee. So though your trip has been delayed, hang on to that sweetgrass braid, walk strong and tall, sweet renegade. This team of 5 has faced the foe. With degrees in hand, there's an afterglow. So now that the end is drawing near and the fellowship journey is perfectly clear, think back to those days when you first joined the team as a newbie or rookie just gathering steam. The path seemed unsure but full of allure until action research you had to endure. But you powered on through, braving COVID and flu, building and shaping that brand new worldview. The challenge that rocked us, rolled us, and shocked us wasn't enough to knock down and block us. So as you plan to hit the trail, I won't sob and I won't wail. I know that you will make us proud, with heads held high and voices loud. Speak for those who have no tongues, tell the stories yet unsung. Walk the path of teachers past, reshape the old, the die recast. Be true to yourselves, live a life that's bold. Stay close to the land and you'll never grow old. Congratulations to all of you guys. I'm so proud of you. Best of luck and everything. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing, Jamie. So it's my... Move the mic. Move it up. There you go. Okay, thank you. Now it's my great pleasure to have the honor of helping confer diplomas to our 5 Foley graduate fellows. They have all worked very hard and successfully and competently completed the coursework and requirements established by the University of Northern Colorado to earn a Master of Arts degree in science education. Graduates, when I call your name, please come to the podium to receive your degree diploma. The graduates have all been given the option to say a few words as well. Ashley Daniels.
I just want to say thank you, and I'm grateful, especially to Jamie for leading our program for 2 years, Chris and Dustin for tolerating us in the office all the time, and Cassie as well, and Laura, and thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been an amazing experience for 2 years. Thank you.
Aidan Goldie.
I guess I'll echo what Ashley said and say thank you to everyone involved. There's a lot of hard work to make this graduate fellowship happen. If I had to offer a few words of advice to the new cohort of students, is that don't feel limited by your job description. There is plenty of room to impact the organization and leave your mark. So thank you.
Nicholas Scarborough.
I have a mustache, and same thing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for those of you who are here, and for those of you who couldn't be here. I know you're watching, and I appreciate y'all being here as well. And there's a lot of people to thank, so now I know why thank you speeches are always so long.
Katherine Trudeau.
Same. Big thanks. Education to me is like an ecosystem. Everything is interdependent. We couldn't do it without our office staff and our teachers and our friends and our partners and our parents and everyone who got us here today. So thank you.
And Leah Weisman.
Okay, can everybody see me? Okay, so everyone already said thank you to all of the wonderful people who have helped us through these 2 years, and I'm echoing that sentiment. And also thank you to my fellows. Couldn't have done it without you. But most of all, we want to say thank you to Jamie. We knew that we would never be able to write a poem as amazing as anything that Jamie came up with. That was just mind-blowing. So we used somebody else's words, but we made you this gift. Just to say thank you for everything that you've done for us over the last 2 years. You've been more than a teacher. You've been an advisor. You've been a food giver, which we always appreciate. You've been our mother when we just need someone's shoulder to cry on, or words of support, or everything to get us through. So thank you so much. And this is for you.
Oh, okay, now I'm crying.
You're saving it for the end, the 1-2 punch.
That's beautiful.
We didn't write the poem, but we did draw the pictures.
All right. Congratulations, everybody. I'm going to turn this over to Markian Fiduciak, who's going to lead us in a toast.
Thanks, Jamie. I'll get to the toast in a moment here. But first off, Ashley, Leah, Aidan, Nicholas, and Katherine, I just want to congratulate you for everything that you've accomplished here. It's so wonderful to be here with you and your families and your friends, celebrating your professional accomplishments and your graduation. The Graduate Fellowship was initiated, as Kim said, and it was initiated for a number of reasons. One of those was an ongoing desire to professionalize this field of environmental education and to attract a high caliber of candidate as educators here at Walking Mountains. So you're stellar examples of this program, and I hope that it's been a professionally enriching experience for you. Based on your tenure here, I'm confident that you'll go on to utilize your master's degree in your future endeavors, both for your own benefit and for the betterment of our society. I know you've worked your butts off. I know it hasn't always been perfect, and I know that we're not perfect, and it's been wonderful to revel with you at times in that imperfection. The demands of this program are significant: teaching during the day, courses during the evenings, homework on the weekends. I want to thank you for your hard work and the time you spent with our local students to enrich and enhance their education and connect them to the natural world. Walking Mountains' mission is more relevant than ever, and you have worked directly with students to further this important mission. We're most grateful for all of your efforts. Thank you. I know from personal experience, I've raised 2 daughters that have graduated from Eagle County schools, and although this cohort did not work directly with them, I know how transformative and long-lasting an experience you've provided for our local students, because I know the kind of impact that you've had. It does take a community to support this kind of program, and I want to thank all your teachers and your mentors. I want to recognize Jamie for all of her efforts as the graduate programs director. This is a wonderful milestone for us to be here today, so thank you, Jamie. I'm well aware of all the administrative and logistical details, and Jamie and I have had long conversations sometimes about those, and she's persevered. I also want to thank Chris, Lara, and Kim for your efforts in this program. Though they've been recognized, I want to recognize our wonderful donors. Craig, thank you for being here with us today. I'm sorry that Pam and Ben Peternell could not be with us here this evening, but they also support the Graduate Fellowship. That is the Foley Graduate Fellowship. So I hope you remember, and I'll remind you, that when you arrived, I shared with you thoughts about a land ethic from Aldo Leopold's Asan County Almanac. And, once again, I'll close with his words. And it's very simple. A thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. It is wrong when it tends otherwise. It's an interesting time in our country today, isn't it? There's so much change and transition in the world today, and environmental stewardship and justice has never been more important. And I know that you'll rise to this challenge. Sorry. The moment has made me a little emotional. So I hope that everybody has a glass. Thank you. So I want to make a toast to all of your accomplishments, everything that you've done here at Walking Mountains, and all the accomplishments that I know lie ahead for you. Cheers. And I think with that, Jamie,